So it's October 30th. And I'm heading to the Ginger Creek garden. And I tried to hold it in all day, all morning. But when you shut down your gardens for the season, it's sad. So I am struggling today. I am mourning my gardens. And I told you I would always be transparent in my adventures with the gardening. So here I am, raw material. I have Carolyn here today, and Betty and her son Alexander. And Bridget, who helped a couple days ago, just sent me a message and told me, don't be sad today, you're preparing for the future. And it's the truth. It's totally the truth. But I just have this feeling in my heart that I don't have something to go to every day and love on it. And guys, I have 3 gardens. Like, I'm going to go through a couple days where I'm sad. And I'm sure some of you experience that. So I'm just showing you the raw footage of the emotion that's invested in gardens. So let's get out here and prepare these gardens for 2022 season. So, meltdown number 1 has occurred. I don't know, do you guys get sad? I do. I'm gonna run inside the church and look for some supplies, but today is October 30th. It's gonna be like, I think 50 today and a little bit sunny. You can see the sky, which is great. Perfect weather for closing out the garden. We're gonna be doing overwintering peppers today. Pepper plants, I can show you a little bit of that. And we're cutting down all the tomato plants, pulling off all the green tomatoes. And what else? Oh, the boys are moving some mulch to heavily mulch our walkways in between our growing rows. What else? I think that's it on our list today. I don't have all that crazy much to do. It's just time consuming. So whatever supplies we can save, we will. And store them for the winter, through the winter, so that we can use them next year. We do get snow here. We're in Chicago, grow zone 5B. And our first frost per the almanac was like October 15th. And today is October 30th. So Sunday through Friday at night, we're supposed to dip down into the 20s. So everything's gonna die. Everything that's frost tender is gonna die. Any of the brassicas that are in the garden that have been in the garden since the spring, they're gonna remain. And they're gonna thrive because they thrive in the cold weather. So just wanted to kind of check in with you, and this is gonna be an ongoing video, so you're gonna see clips and pieces throughout this whole video. So I hope you stick around for the ride. All right, probably might not see too many bees out here today. These are my favorite zinnias. Aren't they so pretty? I think these are Queen's Lime Red. That's beautiful. Definitely got to save the seeds for those. I think I have already. These were pretty. This peachy color. Oh, the sun's popping out. Feels good. I showed you before the new walkway that we built around the entire garden. Some of the things I want to show you is this broccoli. See how it's been sitting dormant pretty much all summer, but now here's a head of broccoli, and then this head obviously went to flower, which will just produce seeds, and we can save the seeds when it's time and grow this broccoli again next year. All of our chard is really popping now, coming out. These are leeks. I've never grown those before. We got those for free from trellises in St. Charles, or I think that's considered Geneva. But we just popped them in the ground. We're going to see how they go. Malabar spinach. This goes to seed. I've never collected seed from Malabar spinach. I'm not sure how that works. So we're obviously not going to pull it. We'll let this stay and we'll watch its evolution of life right here on our trellis. Bridget came out here a couple days ago and she did all of these tomatoes out of these 3 rows. This is 1 row, this is the 2nd row, and then this is the 3rd row. And she ran out of time by the time we were down there. All these marigolds got to get pulled today because we are going to put some mulch in these walkways and the guys would just dump it right on top of the flowers. So all these walkways, we want to build that mulch layer up at least to half. We probably will not use these trellises next year for tomatoes because this gets really cramped when we're trying to harvest them and tend to them. We might do tomatoes and or peppers on both sides of these because they don't get too crazy, and maybe put some tomatoes in those beds over there where the peppers are this year. What else? Let's see. Oh, let's go look at these zinnias. Right here. Yeah, that's so pretty. It's like a fall color. Deep red. It doesn't show it very well on camera as it does in person. And, oh, pretty calendula. These are easy seeds to harvest when these pop. Borage, I'll do that again next year. It was kind of a sprawling plant. I gotta figure out how to maybe trellis it next year. These are all ready that we could pull the seeds. Look. Let's see if I can pull this. That's a seed right there. And very exciting to be able to pull the seeds from the zinnias. See this plant, it's all one plant. It's laying down now. But this is gorgeous color. Queensland purple. And that is how I tag my plants every year so that I can pull the seeds. And I put that green tag on one of the flowers that I knew was going to go to seed quick, which was this one right here. And then that one over there. I'm not sure if you could see it very well, but I'll pull the seeds out of those. And you know how many seeds are down here on the ground? It's probably ridiculous. But I'll go ahead and pull those so we can save them. So as I said, it's October 30th today. It's supposed to be 50. I have Carolyn, Betty, and Tina out here. Bridget helped this past week. Everybody's had their hands in this garden this year, and a lot of love has gone into what we do to feed the community. And I'm going to go ahead and put the camera down so I can tag some peppers that I'm going to overwinter, and then I'll show you that process that we're going to do. Okay friends, so now I'm going to show you very quickly how to do an overwintered pepper. The reason you want to do this is because pepper plants in our particular grow zone, like grow zone 5B, they take forever to grow fruit. And like specifically jalapenos. Nope, habaneros. I made a mistake. This is a habanero plant. And as you can see, there are habaneros on here that aren't even ready yet. And we only harvested a few off of this plant. And this plant went in the ground at the same time as all the other little baby plants this year. So what you would want to do is try to successfully overwinter one of these plants. And what that means is you're just taking it into your basement and growing it. Nope. Keeping it alive. You're not really growing it in your basement. You're just keeping it alive throughout the winter so that in the spring you can start feeding it and giving it nutrition to get it to wake up. And then when it's time, after the frost, you put it in the ground, it's already got a head start. So that way it could possibly give you more peppers throughout the summer as like your early jalapenos and stuff like that. This will probably be the last year that I grow habaneros because it's kind of a waste of space for us. in the garden because it's not producing enough yield for us to take up the space in our garden. I can clearly plant a jalapeno in that spot and it'll give us a lot more fruit than this plant has done all summer. So I wanted to show you the process on trying to successfully overwinter peppers. Now I did overwinter peppers last year and they did succeed, but when I brought them outside, I had a new project jump into my lap, so I did neglect them and I did not replant them in the ground, so they did die. That was not a product of like an unsuccessful overwintering. That was basically neglect, which is exactly what I did. And I have no problem telling you that I did that. Again, transparency. So this is a habanero. And what I did was I just dug the root ball out of the ground. And you want to shake it and clean it up as much as possible. Get the elements off of it. Just like this. It's got a beautiful root system. This plant grew in the ground with manure and garden soil from Miracle-Gro. There. Then I also put together a bucket. This is probably like a 2-gallon bucket. I don't even know what size this is. 1.72 gallon bucket. And I got some Miracle-Gro potting soil in there. And I'm using potting soil so it doesn't get too compacted in there. I just put a couple inches down in the bottom. I made sure that the soil was wet. I'm gonna go ahead and rinse with the hose the roots. Just like that. Give it a nice shake. And then before I plant it in there, I'm going to trim it. Now this is not your traditional pepper plant with a bunch of Ys. This plant has a lot of Ys, as you can see, all these branches. So you pretty much come in and you cut the plant down. Just like this. I'm going to go ahead and cut above this Y. Just like that. This is pretty heartening for some people. Some people freak out. Not to say that I didn't freak out on my way here today. You guys all saw that. There you go. And what you're going to do is just cut the foliage off. It doesn't need any. And that's the root ball you are going to plant in your new pot and let it overwinter. That one still has a little flower on it. I hope you guys are able to see this video. I can't tell because I'm sitting... Whoa! So, now I put the pepper in the plant bucket, just like this. And I'm going to go ahead and fill it with potting mix. I'm also going to stab my fingers down into the bottom to make sure that that soil is getting around all of those roots. Now, something I did not bring here to the church was sand. And another thing that I'll do when I get home is get my big container of cinnamon, ground cinnamon. And I sprinkle cinnamon at the top of the base, well, at the base of the plant, but inside the bucket. Cinnamon, because that is a deterrent for some pests. And then I'm going to Happy Halloween! It's Michelle, and I am out here at the Ginger Creek Garden, and I did not finish up with my vlog yesterday, so this is actually the tail end of the video that I shot yesterday, which was October 30th. It was beautiful, just like it is right now outside, and we had community service workers working with us all day yesterday. And today I just wanted to come out here and kind of do what I do
when I walk through the garden is make a list of the things that need to be done, because I have some pretty amazing volunteers that help us out here, and they help when they can, and that's part of being a volunteer. I don't demand people's time on certain days. I ask for help on certain days when I'm around, so I can kind of point and shoot and have people help me do the things that are on the list of things to do. But when people have like a Wednesday for 2 hours that can come out here and do something in the garden, then they come out here and do something on Wednesday in the 2 hours that they have to give me. And they'll call me and ask me what needs to be done. And pretty much everybody here that works in this garden knows the layout of the land, and they know exactly what I'm talking about when I give them instructions. So what I want to do today is kind of close up this video of closing down our garden. And it's always been a sad time for the last 2 days. I've been a little bit in mourning, and all gardeners, I'm sure, experience that on some level. But let me flip this camera around and show you what we got going on. I forgot my little selfie stick, so my apologies. Going through here, I might not get everything in the shot. But this is our garden, guys. This is our garden from set it up in 2019 to grow it in 2020. And then we extended the garden for 2021. And then we have already extended the garden for 2022. For those of you that don't know me, I am Michelle, and this is Garden Jargon, and this is the closing of the video vlog that I did yesterday in shutting down our garden. There's still a lot of stuff right here, as you can see. This is all brassicas. We're just kind of seeing how things grow in those areas. It's been in the ground since the beginning of the spring. It has been producing chard and rainbow chard for us, and we get a lot of shade from this tree right here. So it kind of keeps things a little bit cooler. But this garden from the sidewalk all the way over here to the end of these beds, that's what we grew in the pandemic in 2020. So for this portion of the garden, phase 1, I had probably 3 volunteers that helped me grow this garden last year, or during the pandemic in 2020. And we grew 860 pounds of food in just this space. I think this was like 30 feet by 25 feet. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 raised beds. And then we have some garden space over there by the playland. I'll show you that here in a quick sec. So that was 860 pounds of food. Then we were able to extend the garden. So here where these arches are, this is where the kind of the water comes down off the building and off the slope of the land here, because we have a ditch that runs through this yard, and then there's a drainage pipe over there. So we didn't want to plant anything directly right in here, so everything that went on these arches was planted in the ends of the raised beds, and we grew up and over. And then if I did anything on the inside of these, like this arch right here, I would put it in a bucket like that and grow it right there up and over, and they would meet at the top. So this was an addition, the arches was an addition to the spring garden for 2021. Then we were able to extend our garden right here, and we started these beds for 2021 season this spring, and we planted all of these beds, which there's 6 of them, all the way up to the end of this bed that goes right through here. This is a bed and where we grew our zucchini, and that's where it ended. So 2021, we grew everything from this point towards the sidewalk. And at this point, I think we're right around 1,400 pounds of food that we've given to the food banks, and also supplied food to our people that come to our church that want to see some stuff. Now, some things that we did with our gardens this year is extend our walkways around the garden. As you see, this is kind of wood chips that goes around. Our entire garden is done that way, and we use Gaylord boxes. Gaylord boxes are about 12 feet long by 3.5 feet long or wide. This is a Gaylord box right here, and as you can see, it's 5/8 inch thick, and they're pretty dang long. See how thick that is? I don't know if you can see with the sun here. Let me black that out. but this is one of the boxes, and I'm going to use these actually to cover some of the stuff that we have before I drape plastic over stuff like this, just to protect it a little bit from the elements when it starts to snow. The reason I extended the garden just a little bit like that is to be able to have some space to put some pallets down and have some supplies out here. Then at the end of this season, the church was able to give us a little bit more land for more food. Thank the Lords. So with a matter of about a month, we were able to build these beds here with some reclaimed decking wood. This entire garden bed has been laid with Gaylord boxes. We burned off the grass with some silage tarp. That's all documented in the Ginger Creek playlist on my YouTube channel, so please check that out. But every one of these beds is built and attached to the ground with landscaping nails. And now we filled these beds. You can see that they're filled with some pretty nice soil. That is all filled with compost that we got from a horse farm in the spring, and we had that stored way out there. It's not as far as the camera shows, but back behind this tree is a pond, and back there is where we were able to store about 20 yards of this broken down composted manure, and that's exactly what we did. We filled up these beds with all that we had left. We will get more to fill the beds, because I'd like these beds to be actually more than full before the winter gets here. That way, when we fill them and it's a mound of soil, it will decompose and break down over the winter, which is exactly what we want. Also, I'll be bringing my lawn bags here with leaves in them, and I'll also collect those from my neighbors, and I will come here, lay the leaves out in the grass here, mow over them and mulch them into a mulch bag, and top dress all of these beds with that. Now over here, since everything has been pulled out of the ground already, all of the okra, the tomatillos, all of the melons are done, all the eggplants, peppers, and tomatoes that's over here in this garden. This has all been pulled out already. I just asked Dan if next year I could have this space. I'm just creeping along, taking all the space for gardens, but I'm just going to put some compost in there and just grow some sunflowers, nice and tall sunflowers right here. I think it would be a really pretty addition to the garden. But right here, we pulled all our plants out of the ground. All we're going to do here is just throw some more wood chips down, because we have plenty left, and that will just continue to build our soil in this area. These are the raised garden beds. There's 3 of them. I think they're like either 8 feet by 4 feet. Yeah, I think they're 8 by 4s, and there's 3. So there's one over there, 1, 2, and 3. They've all been amended differently. Like that first bed, the first year, we did nothing to it. This bed, we put some free topsoil and mixed it in with some Miracle Grow, and then this whole bed was all Miracle Grow. Or vice versa. I'd have to look back at my notes. And everything grows differently in these beds. We put some squash in there a couple years, last year. And it was ridiculous. I'd never seen squash plants like that before. And then over here, we have really, really wet area in the soil here. So it's really hard to plant stuff here because the runoff from the church comes down, and this is where it stays really, really muddy. Like peppers were here this year, but we had them in buckets. So that was a really good way to keep them from keeping their feet wet, because peppers don't like their feet wet. And then in these holes that you see here, was where we had all of our okra plants. Another addition to the garden that we did this year when we extended it was obviously this entire section. This was all grass. And this was a garden here, I think about 4 or 5 years ago. But they had a lot of problems because of the runoff from the church. It would come down and go over, and it would just, water would sit here, and it was always mucky and muddy, and the ground was really uneven here. So I asked the maintenance gentleman if we could please lay Gaylord boxes down again, which is that 5/8 inch thick cardboard, which I did, and just top it with wood chips and just pack it in. I'll bring out a nice little table and chair set out here, maybe an umbrella for some shade, and just have a sitting area here in between the 2 gardens, because we have what we consider raised beds over there, phase 3, phase 2, and phase 1. And looks so different now that everything is pulled out of this garden. Like I said, it is sad. It's so sad, you know, when you give your heart and soul to something for so long, for the seasons that you do, and you know the good that you've done and the food that you've given to the pantries and the food that need it, food to the people that need it, to be able to do something like this, and then you're shutting it down for the seasons. Like, what are you going to do? So trust me, my list of things to do at home is growing daily. I'm actually excited to figure out a new layout for what we're going to grow in this garden next year. I'm really excited about it. We have community service workers out here on Saturdays, Sundays, and Wednesdays. So I have just probably another 2 or 3 hours worth of work out here for those guys to do, and I'll make sure I do it on a day that's not very cold or rainy. And we just have to get the wood chips that are in the parking lot behind me over here in this garden. We had a couple tree companies deliver some chips for us that I did not know was coming, and so we had extra. So we can always use it, because the thicker you lay down the mulch, guys, the better weed suppression you have, and it eventually turns into dirt anyway. So just do it. Get some chips from your local tree companies. But that's it. I think that I'm going to wrap this video up and say goodnight to our gardens. Tell you guys thank you for watching and supporting my channel. If you are new to my channel, I am Garden Jargon, and I run 3 gardens. I have a Wilson garden, there's a playlist below, and the Batavia Community Garden, which actually is rental plots, and then 9 plots that we grow for the community garden, or the food pantry in Batavia. So the food that comes out of this garden goes to the Aurora Food Bank, and Batavia Community Garden goes to the food bank in Batavia. So you can see all my playlists below. When I do certain things in the gardens, building something, constructing something, doing a different method of gardening, I always make sure I try to document that for you so that you can see, because it is nice to know and see different methods of gardening. And then I love your comments, because I learn from your comments. If you suggest a different YouTube channel that I can watch, that I can learn some more, then I'm all about it. And I just want to share with you what I have learned on YouTube and what I'm sharing with other people. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Thank you for following during this 2021 season. We're gonna have a better season even next year with the new addition to the garden. And I wish you the best of luck in your gardening adventures as you guys navigate through growing food for your families, and maybe for donating food to the pantries. So thanks so much. You guys take care, and God bless.